All right, guys, welcome back. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr., and you are watching Yankees Unloaded, episode 53, I might add. We're rolling here, but not rolling as well as the Yankees are right now. 43-19 right now. Gary, 19-8 at home. They won the magic number. We were just talking off air. Magic number 5 runs, pretty much as always, an instant W. They gave up the home run. Canely gave up the home run to Royce Lewis, but I can't stress enough. Luis Gil has been everything times 20 that we thought he was going to be. And you and I both thought he would be pretty good. I was very high on him. If you remember coming out of spring training, I thought that was going to stick. I didn't think it'd stick. And then he'd get 5 times better than he was in spring training. He is right now, pound for pound, the best pitcher in the AL until Garrett Cole takes the mound. And to me, he's got Rookie of the Year in the bag at this point. But the question is he going to win the Cy Young Award? And to me, if he keeps this up, which there's no reason to think he can't, I think he's 100% going to win the Cy Young, Gary.
Well, by August and September, you would assume that Garrett Cole's revved up and he'll probably be our best arm. But right now, Luis Gil's throwing like an ace. What I found actually pretty interesting was that the broadcast, and I don't think they predicted this, so I'm not going to present it like that on our show, but they mentioned that at some point or another, Luis Gil is probably going to come back down to earth. And I think that that's maybe a more realistic approach to what it is we're looking at, because I don't think anybody thought that this was the version of Luis Gil we were getting. Yes, you might have said, hey, this is where his stuff projects. He's got a plus fastball. Everybody's heard about it. But he's got that nasty changeup that he's now featuring. Well, earlier on in the season, he was really trying to force that slider. And a slider is a pitch, especially when you have nasty run, that you want to tunnel it with a pitch that goes the other way in a slider. Luis Gil was trying to force that. His first 1, 2, 3 starts this year, he was trying to do it. He was a little wild. Now it's essentially four-seam fastball. Here's my changeup. Every once in a while, I'll give you my slider. But once he kind of figured out his pitch mix, he's an ace right now, which is shocking to me. Like, that's a shock. I didn't expect to see this, because when a guy struggles with his command, an ace is the last way you describe him. Part of being an ace, you need to be able to go deep into games. And we're sitting here talking about a stat. Luis Gil has gone 7 consecutive outings of 6+ innings with 1 or fewer runs. That's an ace. That's what an ace does. And I know, Jake, you always talk about it, and I feel like you forced me to talk about it. Making an all-star team is like 2.5, 3 months of really good baseball. It's not that long of a time, but everyone's played that amount of baseball around then. And you got to get credit somehow, right? They're not going to have the all-star game in August. So here we are, right? So that, I guess that's my mentality on it, is that there's no reason to think that he's not an ace until he proves us otherwise now. Because Garrett Cole's coming back. He's got a true running mate. I personally don't think Rodon or anybody else is even in talks of pitching at this level. We're talking about an absolute show. He's around the strike zone early. And today was one of his more wild starts, which is actually hilarious. But they even said on the broadcast, yeah, he's still not struggling. So what you're seeing, it's not an issue. And they let him work through it. So I just thought it was just a clean, easy outing. When you're facing Minnesota, Jake, you talked about it. Minnesota wants no part of us. None. They don't want to see us. And then you've got Luis Gil, who's the hottest pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. You're not trying to see him. So I just thought it was easy pickings today, and he basically just padded his stats.
I kind of thought that too. I want to push back against the idea that he's going to come back down to earth, because coming back down to earth, that term is meant for a guy like Jeremy Lin when he had the whole Lin sanity run, right? Mm-hmm. He was already an established player. We already knew he was a backup, a role player, all of that. When he became the most talked about NBA basketball player in the span of a month, that was him going to another level. But that wasn't him going to stay there. So he came back down to earth, right? That's coming back down to earth. Here's the thing. What is earth for Luis Seal? That's what I don't like about that. We don't know. I think, to me, you have to set the bar. Luis Heel hasn't pitched enough to set the bar. If anything, the bar that has been set, the very minimal set bar, was that we watched him pitch. He threw like 6 innings and he looked really good, and then he got hurt. Like, that was like the last time we saw
That
him.
is true. There's nothing for you to say, hey, that's the version of Luis Heel. If for Carlos Rodon, for example, we kind of know where his ceiling's at. It's like, it's lower tier ace, right? Lower tier ace is where you would describe him. He's like kind of a super two.
Yeah.
He's a power 2. But you wouldn't say, yeah, Carlos Rodon. Like, if Carlos Rodon won the AL Cy Young this year and next year, I would be personally shocked. Like, I would just say that's an upcoming that I just never saw, right? That would be a surprise. But for you to say, like, for anybody to say, hey, when does Luis Heel come back down to earth? Where's earth for him? We don't know. We don't have any. There's no case study. He hasn't been here for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? The only thing he's done is dominate.
I don't like that with young
and Jake,
players.
His measurables, by the way, Jeremy Lin, when you brought up Jeremy Lin, if you looked at Jeremy Lin, nothing measurably was like, oh, yeah, this is the next Kobe, LeBron, Michael. None of that, right? He wasn't 6'10". He didn't have a 45-inch vertical. It was kind of like, a you know what I mean? Like, just some regular dude just dominating. And it was cool. It was like one of the funniest storylines ever, and I loved rooting for it. It was super cool. But you knew, oh, this shit is going to be gone at some point. You knew that. Would you think Jeremy Lin was going to be dominating LeBron 4 years later? Come on.
No.
So, yeah, I agree. The measurables for Luis Heel is favorable.
I'll point out, because, we always have to have analogies with other sports. So the football one is obvious. I'll say Puka Nacua, right? People are like, when is he going to come down to earth? What is earth? Dude's a 5th-round rookie. We have no idea where earth is. This is maybe what he is. The reason I bring that up is because Luis Heel, and this is kind of the thing that no one really talks about, Heel actually finished April going into May with an ERA over 4. His last 7 starts since he had his falling back down to earth start. Remember, everyone said he fell back down to earth? Again, what does that even mean? Against Milwaukee, 7 hits, 5 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs. That game, since then, Heel has pitched in 7 games and has only given up 3 runs.
Oh, it seems good.
It seems to me like we don't know where earth is, and I'm not about to limit a guy who's 8-1 with a 1.82 ERA, 85 strikeouts, and a .92 whip. That's just me, though. I'm not about to limit the guy's ceiling because I don't know what the hell his ceiling is. And you know what? If you're a Yankee fan, you're celebrating. We don't need to know what he is, okay? We have an idea that he's pretty good, right? He's really good at the game of baseball. We don't know what his ceiling is, and that's the exciting thing. If you're a Red Sox fan, Orioles fan, anyone else against the Yankees, well, you're not too happy right now. And you know what? Tough shit. So I feel really good about Luis Heel, and I also want to just drive home the point. This is why, again, Gary, I'm going to say it, you don't trade away a guy you believe in, a guy who has good stuff in the minors, a guy who you'd say maybe he has the potential, but maybe, other people are projecting as a 3, a 4, or 5, like even a Clark Schmidt. You don't trade these guys away for a middle relief pitcher, because it happens every trade deadline. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to talk about it on the channel. Come trade deadline, there are going to be teams all over the place that are giving up really quality arms long-term that are going to pitch 7, 8 innings, some days 5 at the worst, for guys that are going to pitch 2 and, a third. I mean, it's one of the trade deadline is one of the biggest scams you will ever see, because it's a bunch of teams that are poorly run, that are selling assets that they shouldn't be selling. And it's a bunch of teams that are poorly run that are buying assets that they shouldn't be buying. And essentially, because you're waiting, right? you're waiting for the market to heat up, it makes everyone else more valuable. It makes everyone else worth more. The problem is it's an inflated value. You know, I mean, Candelario, we talked about it last year when we were covering the draft, or we were covering the trade deadline. Candelario was not worth what people were talking about. Like, I remember we were talking about, hey, I might be interested in Candelario, because you and I weren't really sure where we were on the Yankees at the deadline. I think part of us kind of believed they could compete, and we were hoping that they could go and make a move. But also a lot of it was delusional, I think. And we were just kind of hoping for anything to kind of spark up what really was kind of a down year.
Which is probably part of the reason why that desperation is why people will just send some dude. They're like, hey, I kind of believe in this guy. And this other team's like, we do too. So, okay, well, how about we make this work? You kind of believe in this guy. He's not ready yet, but we have to win this year, or we really want to. And you end up pulling the trigger on a move that just flat out's ass. It sucks. It's not good.
Yeah.
You don't
got 81
just give up
home
something.
Games. So you just,
but then also,
you know,
yeah, but Jake, also people will look at situations like this, right? Which clearly worked for the Yankees. The Yankees kept Luis Gil. Now, at the very least, it looks like the Yankees have a solidified anywhere from a 2 to I would probably say anywhere from an ace to a 3. Luis Gil's no worse than a 3. When you have a big league starter at that level and you get him essentially for free for the first 4 or 5 years of his career, you go to arbitration, the Yankees are just stealing talent at that point, right?
Oh, yeah.
But when that happens, like you're really sitting here and other fans will say, well, that's why we should never get rid of our prospects. It also matters because you bring up relievers, mid relievers, right?
Yes.
It matters what you're getting. I don't give 2 hoots what you give up if you require a starting right fielder and you have intentions on bringing him back, right? Like context matters to the trades you make. If you told me the Yankees trade away Anthony Volpe, right, for Luis Castillo, that obviously would sound like, wow, the Yankees, if they knew the future, they'd say, well, we wouldn't do that. But if you did do it, it has to come with the context that you're signing some $300 million shortstop. You are finding some other way to replenish that talent. You have some form of foresight for the future. But there's some teams that'll just be like, hey, we could really use a Joey Gallo right now. Like, he's a good defensive outfielder and he can provide some pop. He can take advantage of the short porch in right field. They'll give up something for a player. You really have to take a step back and be like, who are we getting? Right? And if the answer is you're not getting some type of generational player or real difference maker for a World Series team, there's no reason to trade dudes throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour in your system unless you're acquiring like a final piece for a World Series. Other than that, I don't know what these organizations are doing. Thankfully, it seems like Brian Cashman's kind of figuring it out and understanding, oh, I don't have to always try and pull the trigger on something. Sometimes the best move is no move.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I saw Passan, he said to go out and get Ryan McMahon. And I'm like, I just don't really, I guess I don't really understand the rationale. I understand, these reporters have to get paid. They have to, make articles and stuff. And, if someone comes to you and says, hey, can you write this piece about this, this, and this? I've had to do that before. I've had to make a video based on a certain topic. I get that. But I understand the Yankees to me are a layup. They are a layup. If you are trying to decide what the marriage is there, like what are they going after at the deadline? It's a layup. They're going after bullpen help. Full stop. They're not trying to get any bat whatsoever. The reason being is because Jason Dominguez just got announced that he's going to stay in AAA. Okay? He's staying in AAA. They have him if they need him. They have Pereira. Peraza will be back, right? So they have guys. The last thing I'm worried about, as what's his face, Agustin Ramirez is looking like an absolute, treasure over there. And you got Ben Rice and you got Spencer Jones, who's starting to play better. And your beat Vivas, who just, he's been killing it. You have all these guys. I mean, that's not even including our guy Caleb Durbin. There's
Wait, Jake,
so many.
when do we announce that the Yankees could acquire McMahon for free? Where's he going?
That's what I'm saying.
We can
like,
talk all day long about trades
what
and
is
filling holes, but what are we talking about with these players? If you watch the Yankees, which I assume Jeff Passan does watch the Yankees, you would assume with extensively. It's his job to watch baseball.
Yeah.
He watches all teams, so he doesn't watch them as extensively as we do. But having said that, when you say this player who's a good player, and you say, okay, what are the teams that would be after him? You should only be listing teams that have a single spot for an outfielder. Okay. Juan Soto is not moving from right field. We have clearly anchored him there. Okay. The Yankees know if we face a lefty, Giancarlo moves up the lineup. He's starting. He's DHing. It leaves Verdugo in left field with Aaron Judge in center field. That's the lineup. Every single day. It has not changed now, even a single time, right? Unless Grisham plays. If you want to tell me that the Yankees are going to trade away young talent so they can go get McMahon so he can play once a week, I need to know what we're smoking.
I mean, he's 29, so it's not like you're getting Juan Soto, right? You're not getting a 25-year-old. I mean, I don't really understand the rationale. 10 homers, batting 284, 841 OPS. Like, are you trying to log jam the hell out of your infield? I mean, the only way you would do this is if McMahon takes over and he hasn't, I don't think he's played there in a while. He takes over at first.
Because he's the only way you would do third baseman now, right? That's what we're getting at?
He could play third, I know he can play outfield. He could play first, but I don't see any outfield. I mean, maybe he played that in the past, but I guess I just don't. And I'm not trying to make fun of him. I just don't get the point, because you also have to take on that contract too, because he signed, 6 years, $70 million. I mean, that's not a ton, but that's not chump change. So
no, but it doesn't matter. How our owner just told us that we're taking pay cuts next year, which means that we're more than likely, according to what people say, we're going to go get Juan Soto. We'll try to figure that out, right? We probably will. Now,
who's going to get Ryan McMahon? It'll be the Dodgers.
Sure. But so the idea is he's going to play third base. I've seen him play outfield before, so I assume that's kind of where their head was at. But for the Yankees, when Hal Steinbrenner says, hey, our payroll's hovering around $300 million, we've got this guy who you want us to give an extension, somewhere we're going to have to skimp, right? It could be Gleyber Torres, right? It could be, if you're not just going to bring money inbound all of a sudden, that doesn't run in line with what you just told us. So Hal Steinbrenner's many things, he's not a liar. That's what I'm saying. So I just don't see it making any sense watching this Yankees team and thinking, the only thing you can honestly argue, the only thing that this team needs at all, like literally at all, is more relievers. That's pretty much it. I don't think we need any starters. I don't think we need a single addition bat-wise. I think Gleyber Torres will be fine. He's in a contract year. He's going to turn it on. Just contractually, he's going to figure it out. Okay? Obviously, you saw what he did today, but he'll get himself massaged into the season. He's not going to be a problem come October. He never has been. So I'm expecting a solution there. So I'm not worried about making trades. The Yankees don't have to be proactive in this situation. If anything, you just monitor what's happening in Oakland. And if they're comfortable parting ways with someone like Miller, you look at other teams and you just say, okay, how is it shaping up? If there's no one, if we have to give up huge prospects to add a reliever, well, it better be high prize reliever. If it's not, you just stand pat and say, we're still the best team in the American League.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, sometimes, the best move is the one you don't make, as you brought up earlier. And I agree. I mean, if there is, an opportunity, we now know, we can say without a shadow of a doubt, Emmanuel Clase, that dream is dead. They have a chance to win it all this year. I mean, surprisingly, I don't understand how they're as good as they are, but they are very, very good. So when looking at the deadline, when looking at, who could be an option here to trade with, you have to look at teams like the White Sox, the Marlins, the Rockies, as previously mentioned. I think the Angels they have a too much of a stubborn owner. I just don't think that they would do anything like that. And again, I had kind of toyed with the idea of trading for Adele, but that was more of a longer term piece. Like if he is open, like if he is available, I would go after him because I think the Yankees have better coaches than the Angels do. I think they could get the most out of him. McMahon doesn't make any sense. McMahon doesn't make any sense unless you're doing some shifting. If they trade for McMahon, then I think Gleyber Torres is part of that trade and they're getting more in return. That would have to be
that would make sense. But then at the same time, like what's that for? Yes, you can argue that would make sense for the Yankees. And by the way, that's my mistake for thinking McMahon could play outfield. I actually just checked. He plays third, second, first base. So those are essentially the situation. The Yankees have, to be fair to, that whole rumor is that we don't really know the future of Anthony Rizzo past this year. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not exactly sure. Right. We're also not sure. Well, we did talk about Aaron Judge transitioning to first base at some point in the future. We don't know when, but
just don't
at
know
some
if they're
point,
ever going to do it.
Well, we don't know. But having said that, it depends how much you think third base is a need for the Yankees. And in my opinion, when I watch the Yankees lose games or win games, in my opinion, it's essentially who they choose to go out like with the bullpen. Like who do they choose to deploy? Okay, well, Holmes, Hamilton. Remember, last start I said, okay, well, we have a day off. I'm expecting to see Hamilton. We saw him today. It was the best version of Hamilton we saw all year. He was absolutely disgusting today. So having said that, when the Yankees are on schedule and they're throwing out the relievers that they want to deploy, they're dominant. They don't lose. So having said that, going to get another reliever allows them to be on schedule. And if the Yankees are on schedule with their relievers, they're going to outrun Baltimore. As crazy as that is, Baltimore's probably going to win 97 games this year and get outrun if we continue to play the way we should. So, having said that, yeah, technically every team would like to slightly upgrade at every position that's trying to win a World Series, but you have to pick your battles. What's more important? The Yankees adding arms to get themselves through October or adding another bat at third base? I'm going arm.
No, I agree. I mean, they're in kind of a luxury spot too. They're the best team in baseball and they have a good farm system that they could dangle some assets with. They're pretty set up for the future too. I think that's kind of the underrated aspect of this team. Everyone says they're old and all that. They were old. 2022, they were old. But they've done a nice job of kind of, easing up a little bit on getting the old guys. They have a lot of, talent in the minors that we've talked about that, are exciting. Ben Rice, who I didn't even bring up the last time, he's exciting. I mean, they got guys like Henry Lillane, who they're really excited about. Obviously, he's in rookie ball. It'll be a while from now, but 6'7", 211, they love his stuff. Will Warren seems like a guy that they would dangle at the deadline because you have Schmidt. Heel ended up being what maybe what you thought, maybe better than what you thought. You have
Cole.
End up
what you prayed.
Yeah, you have Cole, you have Rodon. So you have Cole, Rodon, Heel, and Schmidt, we know, for the next 3 years, at least, right? So that leaves another starter. They have, of course, Stroman another year after this year. Cortez is gone. Unless he goes to the bullpen, he's probably gone.
Assume Clayton Beater will be starting to break his way into the big leagues.
He could be pushing Clay Holmes for the closer role. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that they are trying to develop him into a starter, yes. And he's the 13th prospect. Right now, looking at their prospects, the top 7, Jason Dominguez is now back on the prospect list. Spencer Jones is 2. Dominguez is 1. Chase Hampton is 3. To me, I don't think there's a spot here for Will Warren long term. I think they kind of see him, as maybe more of that middle reliever, long reliever guy. So I think that's somebody top prospect, used to be still a top 7 prospect in your farm system. That's somebody you'd end up dangling. Him, and I would probably say, maybe one of the shortstops, and you start with that. I think if you go to the A's for Mason Miller, they're going to want Spencer Jones. That's not going to happen.
It's either Spencer Jones or Dominguez, so you can probably take your choice. I would assume, because you have to remember, the Yankees only have so many spots in the outfield. It's Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and there are some people, by the way, there's been some speculation. There are Yankees fans out there who really like this fit with Verdugo, not just the way he's playing, but the personality, the way he fits in New York. And I like it too. But obviously, if you bring him back, you're talking about a $10+ million a year contract, which isn't the devil. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world to sign these guys to contracts when they deserve them or if they fit on the team. And Verdugo is a fit on this team. There's absolutely an argument for Verdugo to be on this team after this year, but that's given the fact that you've maybe traded away a Spencer Jones or Dominguez. So again, Jake, I don't care if the Yankees trade either of those guys, to be honest with you, but what matters is what's coming through the door. Am I getting a player that's generational? Am I going to be watching this pitcher on Pitching Ninja tomorrow? If the answer is yes, then yeah, maybe you can consider trading away guys who are valuable to any organization. But if you go get some dude who you just think can make us better, like that's all you say, hey, we got better today, but you traded away a big prospect, yeah, that'd be ridiculous, 100%. So, it's interesting to say, like, do we keep Dominguez and Jones? Because it seems almost redundant given the situation we're in.
I think the Yankees, it really depends, right? Because when you look, first off, I want to give an update here because a lot of people are always interested in this stuff. Mason Miller, the A's haven't ruled out moving him, by the way. Have not said anything about he's untouchable. Also, he's generating tons of calls, tons. And Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic said the price tag is staggering. He says some teams may balk at the idea due to his injury history, which could scare some teams away. Now, he's not going to hit free agency until until the 2029 season. So that's something. So you have to think about that. You also have to think about the fact that, okay, I know you have Clay Holmes, and Clay Holmes is great. Don't get me wrong. Clay Holmes is great. He's been arguably the best closer in baseball this year, aside from a few different outings. But the reality of the situation is this. Clay Holmes is not Mason Miller. He's not young. Clay Holmes is 31. So there is actually intrigue here, where this is a move that you make kind of similar to Soto, where he could be your long-term, spot guy here, where Soto can be your long-term right fielder. Now you go out and you get Mason Miller, and he could be your long-term closer, and he's under contract until 2029. So think about that. That kind of changes things. Now, I am a big fan of Dominguez and Spencer Jones. I personally don't think they'll move either of them, but I think the A's could. And here's the interesting thing, Gary, because you start off, you ask big. Everyone gets all upset. Oh, they want Jackson Merrill. They're going to, of course, start off big if that's what they're getting calls. Yeah, I'm going to ask you for the most. I don't even think they think necessarily that they're getting Jackson Merrill and all those guys.
Yeah, because we don't even know if those players are available. So technically, it doesn't matter what you're going to ask for. What matters is what do I think you can get out there, and then can I go above that? That's all it is.
So with the Yankees, I think like the asking would be Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. The A's would absolutely start with that. They would ask for both of them. The Yankees would say neither. Okay. The Yankees would then be like, Chase Hampton. And the A's would be like, we like Chase Hampton. What else can you offer? And they'd be like, Roderick Arias. They'd be like, Arias, Hampton. It's like, could you give us some more? Like, yeah. Everson Pereira. Okay. All right. Well, we still need another. All right. Will Warren. What else do you need? Like, and then they're like, maybe Peraza and we're good. I think that's what it would take. I think
That's
the
where
Yankees.
organizational depth actually comes into play, because in the years past, I know they've always told us that this Yankees farm system is deeper than what people are giving it credit for. And
Mhm.
based on the trades that the Yankees have been able to acquire, because Cashman's told us, I'm on the phone all the time, I'm trying to get these deals done. Based on the trades that he was failing to get done, leads me to believe it wasn't as deep as what they told me. These guys that you just listed, those guys are conversation starters. Oh, okay, that guy's interesting because he's not just projectable, he's performing. These
Yeah.
guys are performing well in the minor leagues. They're
You'd
not just,
probably have to give up Ben Rice now I think about it. But I mean, is
which
Ben
is
Rice going to
fine.
stop you? Yeah. I mean, it's him or Augustin Ramirez because everyone's paying attention to everyone's minor league teams. I mean, you hire an entire staff to scout everyone's minor league teams. Okay.
Yep.
Like there are guys that go into work and be like, hey, all your job is to monitor the entire minor league. All right. I mean, for real. So, yes, I think it's absolutely possible the Yankees could get a 25-year-old future closer who could come in and be either an electric setup man right away to Clay Holmes, could even develop into a starter, depending on how that whole thing goes. But you have a lot of versatility there. And with the injury concerns, I think teams are going to balk at offering them too much, which I think then comes down to whether or not you go to the best teams. The Dodgers would definitely go after Mason Miller. The Yankees, they would absolutely go after Mason Miller. I would say the Phillies would be interested in that conversation.
Philadelphia is the number one team that would be calling.
The best teams are going to be the teams at the end of this thing that are in on Miller. Does Miller get traded at the deadline? That's the question. Just because they're open to calls, or rather, worse than that, they're not ruling out trading him. And just because they're not ruling out trading him doesn't mean that they're going to trade him. So I think that's an important distinction there. But I think it was worth talking about on this episode because, I think I want to let people know the Yankees didn't have to give up Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez when they acquired Juan Soto. They're not going to have to do that for anybody other than Ohtani or Soto or Judge. And guess what? They have two of those three guys, and they still have Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones.
Yeah, which is also predicated on situation, because the context of when you get him, because Juan Soto was acquired for kind of what we gave him, is because the reason Michael King we were able to be like, hey, that's the feature in our trade, was because Juan Soto's contract was expiring at the end of this year. The Padres knew, well, we just gave Tatis a deal, right? We just gave Cronenworth a deal. Machado just got a new deal. Everyone's got a new deal over there. Everybody. Yu Darvish, right? Musgrove. They weren't going to pay Juan Soto. So part of that, the give and take of who they can and cannot re-sign, and the timing of that allowed the Yankees to show up and give him pennies on the dollar. And now there's people on there on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that tweet. Someone said that Juan Soto wasn't trying for San Diego. I'm like, that's how bad it is over there in San Diego. Great weather, but ridiculous, it's just horseshit over there. And that's literally the take, is that, oh, he didn't bring it for us. I'm like, there was nothing to bring for you. So yeah. But the whole idea of what I'm saying is that timing matters in the trade market. We have no idea if Oakland's they're open to trading him, because you never know. Some team might blow you away, right? LA might just blow him away with a trade. That's fine. But again, the Yankees could potentially swoop in and not give up as much as people think, because those players that everybody's projecting as being better prospects than the Yankees, they have to offer those guys first. And if they do, then we back up. But if they don't, we scoot forward and see what can happen. You never know.
And the Yankees, they already have a really good relationship working with, the A's. I mean, they've done how many trades with them? I wouldn't be surprised. If it was any other team, I don't know. I'd give the Yankees the edge. I'd say if Mason Miller gets traded anywhere, he's going to the Yankees, Dodgers, or Phillies. That's just how I feel.
I'm saying he's getting traded to Philadelphia if he gets traded. In my opinion, they should trade him, because if they have fears of his health, fears of someone's health in the bullpen, well,
the A's
what
don't.
better time to trade the guy than now?
Yeah, other teams do. They have
that's
fear.
fine.
Yeah, they have fear of his like long-term health. But I mean, dude, let's be honest here.
I don't
If
believe
you're a
that.
negotiating man, and you're trying to bring down the price, I mean, we've all been there, fantasy baseball, whatever. Be like, oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, okay, well, I remember when you came to me, you were pretty damn interested in my player. Now all of a sudden you're saying he's got this issue and you're taking on all this risk. It's amazing how you came to me asking me if I would trade this guy. I opened up and I said I would. I gave you my price tag, and now you're telling me he's not that good. I was like, well, what are we doing here? That's what.
Were you worried about Mason Miller's arm when he was throwing 104 right by Juan Soto?
No, I was not.
Neither was I. wasn't
I
thinking about
was
it.
because I can see the future. Yankees, Phillies in the World Series, or Yankees, Dodgers in the World Series, and you have to go up against him to win the game. It's Volpe, and he's never been in a spot like that before. I mean, I don't care how much you love Volpe. I don't want to have him going up against Mason Miller. I don't want Judge going up against Mason Miller. The last
And vice
play of the
versa.
World
They don't want to
Series.
see him either. Nobody
No,
wants to see a contender get Mason Miller. Everybody wants, especially A's fans, if there are any left, they don't want to see a contender. If we saw Baltimore go get a Mason Miller, yeah, that'd be a problem, of course, because you're
yeah, that'd be a
scenario.
problem.
It would be a problem. So everyone knows, because no one has a clue what any of these GMs, like how diligent are they going to be, right? How diligent are the Yankees going to be trading away prospects when they know that they've got to go a little cheaper? So prospects are a premium for this organization right now. So having said that, will they be that aggressive? That context says they won't. That context says that the Yankees they're going to poke, kick the tires, and then another organization that's more desperate, right? That doesn't necessarily have a looming $400, $500, $600 million deal coming, well, they might be desperate and throw a crazy chip out there. So, yeah, that's my prediction. He's going to Philadelphia. They're going to send the house for him. Or he just stays in Oakland and just rots. So, and I hope he doesn't, because he's about to go to Sacramento next year. I'm not trying to see Mason Miller pitching for the Sacramento A's.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that. As far as the Dodgers go, their top two prospects, they only have two in the top 100, right?
Okay.
Both of which are not in AAA. So they seem like a potential team to just throw those guys and just be like, we're going all in. It's our first year with Ohtani. Let's just go balls to the wall. I could see it. The Phillies actually have 5 players in the top 100 that they can offer.
That'll play.
And you got a rookie ball guy, 99th. You got a high A guy, 62nd. You have a triple A guy, 60th. You have a single A guy, 47th. And you have a double A guy, 18th. So they're going to be a problem.
I would say it's going to take at least 3 of them. It's probably going to take 3 of those guys, is my opinion. So
the Yankees, they have Jason Dominguez at 30th. I think he's rated a little too low personally, but I think it's the injury that pushed him down. So they have him at 30th. Then Spencer Jones, 67th in the top 100. Chase Hampton, 73rd. So that's 3 in the top 75. And they have Roderick Arias at 86. So the Yankees actually have more ammo than the Dodgers. I really think they could get this thing done with a front package of Chase Hampton and Roderick Arias. Now, I think the Yankees like Hampton to the point where he could end up being in this rotation. But when you're this close, when you like Mason Miller, I don't know who the hell's beating the Yankees in a 7-game series. If you can try out Mason Miller, Ian Hamilton, Clay Holmes. I mean, say what you will about Canely. I understand he gave up the home run today. Canely's going to be huge. His experience matters. There's a lot of guys. Luke Weaver. I just don't. I'm not betting against that team. Judge, Soto, Volpe. I mean, the way now Stanton is hitting bombs. So that's kind of my thoughts, Gary, to be honest with you. I'm not advocating that they need to make a move, because I'll be honest with you, as much as I love Mason Miller and I love him, I put him on your radar. As
He
much as
did.
I love Mason Miller, he's not a need. He's a want.
He's a
You know,
luxury. In the
I don't
Yankees
think
potentially could put 2 Ferraris in the driveway. And if that happens, great. If not, well,
yeah,
you're not going to freak out about it. You just go, right? You go fix the windshield, right? We'll
I'll
figure
say
out
this.
a way to get better.
You know, one guy I would give up Spencer Jones for, because you know I love Spencer Jones. There's one guy I'd give up Spencer, Paul Skeens.
Clase? Oh, Paul Skeens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course. Yeah.
I'd throw the kitchen sink. I might even give up Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones for Paul Skeens.
You might. I would give up our top 10 guys, the top 10 rated players we had in our system for Paul Skeens.
Who's beating the Yankees? Who's beating the Yankees if they trot out Paul Skeens, Luis Heel, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and oh, by the way, Stroman is our 5th dude. Who's beating that?
I would look like Forrest Gump. I'd be like, see you later. Goodbye.
Like I just, and that's funny. Yeah, he's absolutely
nasty.
disgusting. My dad actually was complaining because he's like, why do the Pirates get all these guys that they can't win with? It feels that way.
Actually asking, the answer is that they just keep selecting number 1 or number 2. And what's funny is they do a fine job of drafting, but
they're good at drafting.
It just seems like they don't really put it together. And then also people forget they got screwed. Remember, before the wild card stuff even existed, there was just a 1-game wild card. The Pirates with McCutchen were winning 98 games and playing in a 1-game winner take all and losing.
God, we need to get rid of that. That's awful.
It was horrible. It was bad.
Yeah.
So they got outrun, right? And
it's 3 games now, right?
Fair.
Or is it still 1?
So it's no longer a winner take all situation, which it was.
So dumb.
And they got screwed, which fair is fair. The other team had to do the same thing, but the other team didn't win 98 games. So it was unfortunate, but people kind of look at the Pirates as like this, I don't know, this organization that's like in the depths of hell, but they were a lot better than what people kind of remember. So, but yeah, it's been crazy over there.
Yeah, it's been crazy over here. I mean, we barely talked about the game, but I mean, to be fair, the Yankees have been winning a lot. This is their 6th straight win. To wrap this thing up, I mean, Judge is Judge. He's now batting .293. Dude's an alien. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Soto, his down day, he went 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Walking twice is a down day for him.
And they were really well. I mean, I'll say this: he earned those walks. I mean, he fell behind 0-2, 1-2 in those counts, and they're still terrified to pitch to him, which is ridiculous. That you're still going 1-2, 2-2, 3-2 breaking balls when you got Aaron Judge sitting behind him. It just kind of goes to show that no one's really making any decisions when it comes to pitching to these two guys because they're both too good. That's when you have a good tandem. Anytime you see, hey, we're going to go after Juan Soto and he's getting fastballs all day, every day because of how good Judge is, it means Juan Soto's not really that good. But what happens if a Barry Bonds hit behind a Ken Griffey Jr.? Well, now you're just pitching to them both as individuals. And that's what we watch every day. Teams don't know what to do with it.
No, teams have no idea what to do with it. It's only going to get worse because these guys are getting hotter and they're getting better, and it's kind of funny to watch. Volpe's still hitting over 280, so I was told he's not a leadoff guy. I think with Stanton, the 2-run jack, that was awesome. Another thing I want to say, the home run Torres had. He's been getting a lot of shit, and we've given him a little bit of but I mean, let's be honest here. Like when he's on, he's fun to watch, and he was definitely on today with that home run. So yeah, it was kind of a quick one, Gary. This is a very, very quick game. I felt like it just all of a sudden Michael Kay is saying the Yankees won 6 straight. I told you this. I thought we were in the 6th inning. So, the thing flew by. 5-1 is your score. Yankees move to 43-19. And tomorrow, 7:05, normal time, thank God, they got Carlos Rodon on the hill against Chris Paddock. I'll take Carlos Rodon. I'll take the Yankees anytime over Minnesota. Won't be shocked if Minnesota steals a game in the series. I won't, just because the way baseball is. That's just the way it works. But I got to be honest with you, betting against the Yankees against Minnesota is a fool's errand. That would be a stupid thing to do. Marcus Stroman gets the third game against Pablo Lopez. The Yankees, they're kind of iffy on Pablo Lopez. I've seen them look good. I've seen them kind of struggle. So we'll see what ends up happening there. ESPN matchup predictor gives them no chance. I mean, the Yankees have a 64.8% chance of victory. That's
by
like
all history.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that seems a lot like history, and bettor's odds are that Minnesota just hasn't known what to do with the Yankees, whether it's postseason or regular season. This team just doesn't know what to do with us. And of course, we're more talented. We're better at pretty much every aspect of baseball. They did a pretty good job of getting Lopez through the doors and obviously inking him up to an extension. So, obviously we got to give him credit for that. But as far as the rest of the team goes, they've got a couple of reclamation projects. Some of their stars just can't stay healthy. Obviously we saw we saw Lewis today essentially show up. Royce Lewis, excuse me. And he was out the whole year. So,
he was their number
they've got to
one
get
overall
healthy as
pick
well.
years ago.
Yeah.
They picked him over Hunter Green, if you remember that.
Yeah, they did. They did pick him over Hunter Green. And you know what? Fine by me. You see the talent, right? I mean, the kid's got the talent. You got to stay on the field. So if he stays on the field, it'll help. But I feel like we're just the better team. I'll say they get a game this series.
It's only 24, by the way. Isn't that crazy?
Which is so ridiculous. Yeah, you stand here looking at me through the screen. I'm 30.
Yeah, I'm 28. So Royce Lewis is 4 years younger than me. I'm like, what?
Can you believe you're covering people in Yankees? You're like, he's no young guy. He's 31. He's 31. I'm like, geez, relax. I'm 31 in November.
You're talking about Clay Holmes. I mean, hey, to be fair, I'm gonna have to get used to that because that's old for like baseball. That's old for football. That's old for hockey and basketball. I mean, it's old for sports. It just is. So.
Well, I know I'm older than shit. I have bowling league tomorrow night. I'm 31, and I wear jerseys with my name on the back. So you don't think I know I'm old? I'm old. Come on now.
Not you. No, like sports old. Like
I'm older than a geezer. Should 30. I technically be in my prime as a 31-year-old, like on the back end of my prime? I thought
you said you don't use prime. You never use
arguments.
That term. Yeah.
No, I don't use prime in arguments because anytime someone goes, what do you think? Prime Garrett Cole or Barry Bonds or prime Barry Bonds? Anytime they use the word prime, they're just telling you what they think already off rip with the question. Stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Prime Michael Jordan against LeBron James. Stupid.
Yeah.
Dumb. So, yeah. There wasn't much to talk about with this game because we just handled Minnesota today. We handled them.
Yeah. It was 5-1. It felt like 15-1. I never at any point felt like the Yankees were not going to win this game. No. We'll see the next two games, and obviously we'll get to the main event, which is going to be the Dodgers game. I mean, everyone is talking about the Dodgers, series. Michael Kay has not been shy, saying that, we could be looking at like 8-9 Hall of Famers in that game or that series. So
he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Look, Freddie Freeman's a Hall of Famer. Mookie Betts is a Hall of Famer. Shohei Ohtani's already a Hall of Famer. Shohei Ohtani could retire tomorrow, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Judge. Soto.
Judge is a Hall of Famer. Soto's more than likely going to be a Hall of Famer. He's so young. Who?
Big G. Stanton.
Interesting.
Cole.
I don't know. Is Giancarlo going to be a Hall of Famer?
Seal.
He probably will get to the... He's probably going to get to the 500 home run mark, right? He's obviously not a high average guy. He didn't really stay healthy. I feel like I would, gosh, that's such a hard answer. I feel like I would give him the nod.
I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. I do.
Yeah, because he won MVP as well. So I say I would give Giancarlo the nod. I think I would.
After that, though, I don't know who else would be. He said like 9 Hall of Famers. So it's Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Judge,
I
Soto,
guess you can say Smith
Stanton.
Over there at their catcher has a chance. But, I mean, he's not really throwing up Hall of Fame numbers as of yet. I mean, he
I
hasn't really
don't
shown us that. He's a great,
I
like
don't
really good
know.
player, but
He's
I don't see that
29.
level.
Yeah, he's 29 and like I mean 100 home runs for his career, 264 hitter. I don't know. I see a
He's not
good
making the
player.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's Hall of Good. Like
He's
I
not even
just
Hall of Very Good. Will Smith's just a good player. He's a good player. And when you put a good player around generational superstars, I mean, you see the results. And that's all you got to do when you have talent like that. The Mookie Betts and the Freddie Freeman and Otanis. Well, someone that's hitting right behind those guys, if
I
they're
liked
good,
Russell
well,
Martin
shit's
more.
great. Russell Martin?
On the Dodgers, not the Yankees, Russell Martin.
Oh, Yankees Russell Martin was like
No. It's because
present
dude,
day
they made him
Sylvester Stallone.
shave and it just didn't work. It just did not work.
I liked him that day where he hit that grand slam. Remember that? Where him, Curtis Granderson, and I think one other dude hit a grand slam. I don't remember who the other one was. Oh, it was Cano. It was Cano, Russell Martin, and Curtis Granderson. I'm pretty sure it was those three who hit those home runs.
Wow.
Yeah,
The names.
it was sick.
That is sick. No, it's funny. At some point or another, the Yankees were like Jorge Posada. Then we couldn't find our Jorge Posada, so they're like, let's just get a bunch of washed up, like Russell Martin, Brian McCann.
Oh my gosh.
And then they're just like, yeah, Brian McCann, like way past his prime, Gary. Like it wasn't prime Brian McCann. We'll just put it that way.
No, it was like Aaron Rodgers in like 4 years from now. That was essentially
like spoiled milk, Brian McCann. But
and Brian McCann, he was not rocking the shave. Which, by the way, there are a lot of people who cannot get away with shaving. My wife says I can't get away with it. There are a lot of players that just don't look good shaved. Yeah, Brian McCann was not one of those guys. He did not look like he worked at AutoZone or Ace Hardware, and he was just in a Yankees uniform. And I liked him personally. I liked the drive, the fire that Brian McCann played with, and he was a really good player in Atlanta. But shit, when he came to New York, I was just like, this is just cardio work.
I was just waiting for Jason Kendall to go through the door at that point.
Oh my God.
Mike Piazza pulls up. You guys need another bat. I mean, at the deadline, the way that's, they need a bat. Okay, Mike Piazza is coming out of retirement.
Well, we might as well just sign Yogi Berra at that point. Brought him through the door. That's literally what it was. I mean, of course, like it was like the veteran presence, by the way. Like that's part of the reason is the leadership, which are always, Brian McCann's always been a really good teammate. So that was part of the reason. Not everything's about performance, but you'd like to believe some of it is, and it wasn't. So
the old Yankees absolutely would have signed, what's his face? Isn't the Royals catcher like super old? Salvador Perez.
Oh, Salvador Perez. Yeah, they would have signed him. Not now. They would sign Salvador Perez in like 2 years because he's probably, what, 34?
He's 34 on the dot.
Oh, yeah. So we would sign him at 36. Perfect signing. He'd be good for 1 year. He would hit like 290. We'd see him in an all-star game, and he'd just fall off a cliff. No,
they would sign him right after he fell off. Like they would just buy. Yeah, it would be like Encarnacion had like 40 something home runs, and then they picked him up. That was right after he literally put all the effort, the juice, the age, everything. Encarnacion put in that 40 home run season. He went to the Yankees, just absolutely chalked. So
so Nelson Cruz last year or the year before would have been a Yankee.
Pretty much. I was actually kind of surprised he wasn't a Yankee. And I mean, he used to be a running gag. I mean, kind of the same thing with the Lakers. Gary Payton, when he was, in a wheelchair, they used to say. Like Gary Payton, Karl Malone. I mean, some organizations like embrace the big names over the hill names. The Yankees are known. They went on and got Randy Johnson. I mean, they have had so many massive names, but like way over the hill.
Dude, Randy Johnson was so old playing for the Yankees. He had no business coming through he was so old coming through the door, dude. Like he was a middle-aged man. He was not of age to even perform at all. Like not at all. It was like 2023 quarterback age. And he was just playing baseball. What are we talking about? He was throwing like 80, like 89, 90 miles an hour. Randy Johnson.
David DeLucci. I mean, they get guys, not like he's a huge name or anything, but they they get guys like way after the fact. That's the funny thing. I always thought that was funny.
When it's easy to get him, you can just throw him a $10 million deal. If the owner's rich and doesn't care, you can always get those dudes. You can just pull them out of retirement. They were going to go move into a mansion in Scottsdale, Arizona. And instead of doing that, you just throw him a $13 million deal like this JD Martinez contracts that he's going to continue to get these next couple of years. He's a professional hitter, but some organization is going to give him a contract and he's going to be a fossil out there. They're going to get that last year version of JD Martinez. It's going to be the worst deal ever. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be someone.
It's going to be like PK Subban's last year on the Devils. Oh my God.
I hope it's with the Mets.
I would love to see that. I don't like the Mets, so yeah, screw them. But anyway, that's gonna do it for Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. You can follow us at JK Bogan, at Gary Sheffield Jr., and at Yankees Unloaded. Tune in next time. It's gonna be episode 54. And we'll be talking about Yankees Twins. Yankees win again, 5-1, 6 straight, 43rd win, and we're on to the next. You guys take care.
New cameras tomorrow, and like this video.